The following text entry was supposedly emailed to several individuals, all seemingly random with nothing connecting them. Investigations have not yet led to the identity of the author, but judging from the material, it can only be assumed as a work of elaborate clickbait fiction, or at the very least, a kind of drug-induced psychotic rambling. Judging by the coherency, however, it may simply be the former. Please observe with discretion. Have you ever felt like you were being watched? Of course you have. After all, the feeling of being watched by others is more than common, with crowded places being no exception. Even when alone, you often get this feeling. You usually just brush it off, but there's a good reason why ignoring it is something I can't mentally or emotionally handle doing. Let me give you some context. I was staying at a friend's house when I was 13 years old. We played with Ouija boards, played that dumb Bloody Mary game, even tried the Candyman one for the hell of it. In our infinitely bored wisdom, we decided to play what at the time seemed like a pretty simple game of hide and seek. For this game, though, we played it in the basement. It had a lot of room to move around in, lots of stuff to hide behind, and the lighting was perfect. Without the overhead light on, we just had the light of the window to let in sunlight. In short, we pretty much played hide and seek with only around 10 to 15% visibility. Needless to say, we bumped into a lot of things. I have to admit, even in perfect conditions, I suck at hide and seek. Playing it in near darkness was a real chore, so I was the seeker more than the hider. Maybe it was the act of straining my eyes for long periods of time that caused my current affliction, but I don't have any proof. Anyway, the game went on, and I was naturally angry at bumping into everything, so I cheated and turned the light on, only to see what looked like a black shape hiding from the corner of my eye move quickly out of my peripheral vision. Following it, I instantly saw my friend pretty much hiding in plain sight. I didn't think much of it at the time, but looking back, it really creeps me out. We continued to play, and once I got back home, everything seemed pretty normal. Dinner was its average affair, and my siblings were as annoying as usual. But as soon as I went to tell my mother goodnight before going to sleep, I saw it once more. A dark shape that I couldn't quite identify. I didn't pay it any mind, as everyone sees something from the corner of their eye from time to time. Could have just been the cat jumping or something. The problem was, though, the more that I think about it, I was looking dead straight at her. Something was there. It moved once I focused on it. The next morning on my way to school, I saw the shapes again. It was always briefly like a fast car passing you by. You see it, but it's so quick you can't catch the details. I was feeling nervous, so much so I couldn't pay attention in class because every time I looked up, the shape would be there and disappear not a half-second later. I became desperate to figure out what these things I was seeing were. I would pull my phone out, and whenever I felt the urge to look around and potentially see these things, I would snap a picture. I got a few photos, but none of them captured the shapes I was seeing. I saw them when the picture took. Hell, my thumb was fast enough to hit the button in the split second I did see it. But the camera on my phone was just too slow. Years go by. I'm 22, by the way, and I still see these damn things. During my years, I've done what I could to study them over. From what I've gathered, they all look fundamentally the same. They're inky black and have a pair of pinhole eyes. Before, I couldn't even tell they had them, but after seeing them so many times, their images burn in my brain. The eyes are tiny, like really small, probably no bigger than my pinky nail. When they disappear, they don't really move. It's more like a very unnatural shuffle to the side until they're fully behind the person they latch onto. I say latch because I've seen them on everyone. Not one person doesn't have one of these things attached. Hell, even I have one. I catch it in the mirror sometimes, just looking at me. I've tried in vain to get others to see, but they never can. I never understood why they couldn't, until it hit me one night while I was pissed drunk in my kitchen eating a burnt-to-hell omelet. Everyone has a blind spot of sorts. And unless you are looking at something in 2 dimensions, you never see an entire object. You can't see every angle of somebody at once, right? Even if you looked at someone from every possible angle through a camera, there will still be a room where there's a blind spot. That's where these things reside. They live in the spaces that we and others can't see. You can probably sit and read a book, but these things will be right behind your shoulder, reading with you, and the moment you feel watched and turn around, it'll move away and watch you from some other side of you, like a damn kid trying to play tricks on you. You don't have to believe me, but until you see them for yourself, you'll just have to take my word for it. The only thing I haven't been able to figure out is why these things exist. I don't know if they're demons or aliens or what, but there was one time I saw these things do something other than observe. After seeing it, I almost drank myself to death from the shock I felt. There was a young girl who had one of these shapes watching over her. Seeing them everywhere else, I didn't take much notice. But in the briefest of moments, I saw something different. Something I had never seen before occurred this one time, and I've yet to see it again. The color of it seemed to shift a little. It seemed to turn to a very dark gray, if I recall. It had a smile. Some expression showed up on its face, and as soon as it vanished, the little girl stopped to tie her shoe on the sidewalk before an old beat-up Mustang ran the girl down like she wasn't even there. From the reports I read, the driver was drunk and not only hit the girl but a few others as well, with her being the only casualty. It made me sick to my stomach. Whatever the hell that thing was knew she'd die. It smiled like it was preparing something. I've had enough of a hard time figuring out what their purpose was in the first place. But with this, it just adds more layers that I just don't have enough thumbtacks and yarn for my conspiracy board for. That was a joke, by the way. I don't actually have one. Chances are, if you're perceptive enough, you may just see them. Maybe only once in your whole life, and it may just be your own. But once you see it, those damn pinhole eyes will haunt your soul. Don't play that game I mentioned above. Maybe it's what caused it. I'm not sure, but I don't want others to risk it. It didn't work on my friend, so who knows? All I really know now is that whenever you feel like you're being watched when you're alone, there's a good chance it's those things. I wish I could help give tips on getting rid of or avoiding such things, but I can't help you. You can't help yourself either. Just hope and pray and beg your God of preference that when you do catch that glimpse, it isn't gray or smiling. If I remember correctly, the poor girl had, 20 seconds until she met her demise? Make those seconds count.